SMT Nation, we back. Nation, this article was published earlier this morning. This one from, what is it, Seeking Alpha. This stuff pops up in my Google News feed. I'll tell you guys, shout out to the Google News feed. Literally anything that you ever search, like, comes up as recommended anytime stuff is related. And it's good. It's usually stuff that you can use and, you know, you might find useful. Anyways, so it came across the timeline, the feed, and I read it. I want to give you guys the takeaways that I get, the sentiment, you know, based on this article. I think the most important thing here is the fact that Verizon is reporting earnings early in the morning, right? They're going to release their third quarter results, and then they're going to have, a conference call, an earnings report call. I'll try to get you guys that information as soon as it becomes available. So expect something in the morning. But here we go. Stuff from the article that we'll be looking for here in the morning. All right. So link for the article in the description. Ways to support the channel in the description as well. Okay. So AT&T reported, guys, and it was a blowout quarter. This year, with the exception of Q1, has been a great AT&T year. Service revenues, free cash flows especially, they're cooking with gas, right? Fiber is hitting, mobility is hitting, the network is hitting, for Verizon. These analysts who are part of this production, the author here is Tiasha Datta, news editor. They've got bearish sentiment, folks. Okay, so check out the highlights from this article. They are expecting a drop in service revenues at a clip of about minus 2.5%. Now, with the earnings coming out first thing in the morning, we'll know if that is indeed the case. Now, these are people that are typically in the know, right? They have their pulse on the industry. So their calculations, their algos, whatever they're using in these predictions, whatever numbers they have access to. I mean, that's what they're saying. Wireless equipment revenues dipped by 21% during Q2 of 2023, previous quarter, compared to the, same quarter back in 2022. The phone upgrade activity declined 34% in that same time frame. Verizon's earning per share expectation is expected to be down 11% here this quarter. What investors are going to really want to know, and we saw what happened with AT&T, is the free cash flow, because Verizon pays dividends with their free cash flow, right? And when people invest in Verizon, it's for that dividend. Believe you me, right? When you got a almost 8% dividend, like, that's crazy, right? So obviously they're going to want to know a little bit about the debt load. They're going to probably ask questions about the interest rate, how much of the total debt is on a fixed rate. We know that rates are inclining, so fixed versus variable rates and all that. Verizon in Q2 guided a consistent, unchanged EBITDA. We'll see if that continues, if they guide for Q4 the same way. They typically do hit the earnings per share, like 88% of the time. So here's my takeaway. The sentiment here in this article is bearish and is negative. Again, I'm not an investor specialist. I don't do financial advice for folks. It's not my profession. I'm an educator. I'm a school teacher. But I'm looking at the sentiment within this article, and that's the vibes. However, in discussions I've had with folks that are near the retail space, they've described this quarter as being much more positive compared to the last. Right? So maybe the growth is going to be subdued again. Maybe it's going to be minimal. I will tell you that, Verizon did some good stuff here in Q3. I know that promotionally they've been much more active. Maybe these folks here with this article who wrote it and the contributors, maybe they didn't take that into account. I hear Verizon's been very active, and it showed in the traffic in the stores. We all know that the American public, when it comes to postpaid wireless, they choose their carriers based on upgrades. Right? Where they spend their money is who gives them good deals on trade-ins on their old iPhones and new phones, right? The deals. Maybe Verizon was very active. Maybe they were converting. We already have been hearing about what Sampath, the CEO of Consumer, has been doing to reshape and revitalize Consumer. And they said good things and progress is happening. There was just an article, printed, I think, from either it was Bloomberg or the Wall Street Journal. I think the Wall Street Journal. saying, things are getting turned around and he's on the case and all that. So if you put together some of those things, it doesn't seem like it should be all that bearish. I mean, maybe everything isn't perfect, but there should be some good things. I'll tell you guys right now, the specific things that you're going to want to watch out for with this earnings report is going to be total service revenues, upgrade rates, and free cash flow. That's pretty much it. The EBITDA is important as a metric within the telco space, right? Also churn, and I think they're expecting churn at Verizon to be industry worst. AT&T came in with a very, very healthy, sub 8.0, sub 0.8 churn. And I think Verizon's going to be higher than that. Now, if they come in at like 0.81, 0.82, 0.83, I think that's perfectly suitable. But if it comes in at 0.85, that'll make people a little bit shaky. 0.86, 0.87, that's troubling. And if it comes in at 0.90, I mean, then they're really trailing the market. That means T-Mobile and AT&T are kicking their ass. But we'll see. The expectations appear low. Even if Verizon hits it out of the park with a great earnings, the stock won't really pop. They're just not at that position yet. Unless they guide up free cash flow something absurd. Unless they guide up, service revenue something absurd, which we don't see anything on the horizon. Now, typically Q4s are good for Verizon holiday season, so that quarter should be better than Q3, right? More time for people to get to the iPhone deals and things of that nature. But I will tell you guys, these folks don't know everything, and they've been wrong before. I'm expecting the stock to not do much, give or take 2%. If things look fantastic and rosy and they guide up, maybe they pop 2%. If things don't come out perfect and something is negative like service revenues or, churn's slightly elevated, maybe it dips 2%. But it'll be right back within a week, and there'll be a net. The net of it will be nothing, is what I'm saying. It's just not the time right now for Verizon. I don't know when that time comes or whatever, but that's more my expectation. So I gave you guys my take. You understand my sentiment is more neutral. Verizon is very much oversold. They do have a lot of debt. They continue to pay dividends. They generate free cash flow. I mean, that's what they've been, and that's who they are. We'll see. We'll see if the negative sentiment of this market report is accurate. We'll see if maybe my neutral stance is accurate. What is your prediction? Love to hear what you have to say on this. You are the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.